Yes, I must stop sharing first.
Yes. Salama, can you share your screen? Yes, no?
Yes, but you can stop sharing your screen, then I will share it.
I think that's a good
Cannot
idea. Yeah. What about now?
I'll try now.
Yeah.
No, I cannot because I'm a participant.
Come again? Not yet? You cannot share. Okay. You know, I teach a design class, and there is this principle that it says that if you have to teach a person once how to use the software, that's okay. But if you have to teach a person every time how to use the software, that is not okay. And this is the problem with Zoom when I need to let people share the screen. Every time we waste time. Let's see, was it the security section? No. Participant, okay, I have to go to the participant list. Participant list, and then share with, let you share individually. I cannot let just anybody share, right? So Salama, chat to me in the chat so I can see you. It's here. And I don't know how to access the participant list. Salama, maybe here. Okay. Make host. Change host. Salama, you're the big boss now. Can you share your screen now, Salama? Okay,
Now
Salama.
you can see my screen.
Hey, everybody, can you
Okay,
see?
let's start.
Yeah, very good, Salama. Let's do a recap of the case. Just start from the beginning, and let's recap everything we did. Yeah, good idea. Go up, and even you can read the case. Did something move? You can do Control Z. Very good. Just do Control Z a few times, and it's fine.
Okay. I'll do it.
Very good.
I will do it.
La 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 la.
Now you cannot see my screen.
I cannot see anything. What about the other ones? We can see. They say no.
Okay.
What happened? What happened?
No,
Now yes.
it's okay. Okay.
Right.
Last time, case one.
Yeah.
In this case,
Mm-hmm.
the government must determine whether to reduce the speed from 160 to 120 in العين أبو ظبي road highway. So we just in step one we identify the problem and we develop a problem statement. Then we do a stakeholders, which was يعني, we discuss on them, who are them and how they will be affected. Then in the second step, we just choose two options, option A and option B. Option A was to remain the speed 160, and option B to reduce the speed to 120 kilometer. Then we just do here a table for stakeholders and start calculation or guessing what will happen for them. And we stop here in ADNOC. I don't know, I share my mine, the new one, or this one will continue on it?
Yes, the new one, the best one. Share the best one. So let's go through the statistics of passengers. So Salama has to decide whether to lower or not the speed limit. And so she's applying the 5-step method to consider the problem from an ethical point of view. So to make sure that she is being the most ethical that she can be, right? Yes. And in this case, we are in step number 1 or number 2 now.
Number 3.
Number 3, where for every stakeholder,
Yes.
which is every person, every actor, anybody, every institution that might or might not be affected by the decision, we check the impact of each of the options. We're just checking what will happen to them with the X or Y. And we stopped, so we saw passengers, and we're calculating, we're converting everything to money so we can compare things. And for things that have no money, we use qualitative emojis, but you could use arrows up or down or even text, but I think emojis are quite good. And we stop at ADNOC, and so we're discussing ADNOC now. So Salama, tell us, or you can ask the students, because now you're teaching the class. You can ask the students, what do you think?
What do you think, how ADNOC will affect?
And you can tell them.
We mean the speed or...
Salama, and the students don't say anything. They are shy sometimes. So you can tell them, type it in the chat. Or you can even say, bonus point for the best answer. Okay.
I can't see the chat if someone...
Don't worry, I will read it for you. Don't worry about the chat. I will take care of it. I will check the chat for you, okay? So nobody's saying anything. Typical situation in the classroom. So let's go back to RTA. So RTA, we said they would be less happy. Yes? With option A. Yes? Does everybody agree with that? Everybody agree? Aha, Taif, can you speak, please?
If the passengers used 160 kilometers per hour, they will spend more money, which makes ADNOC happy.
They will spend more money on
fuel.
On fuel. That is interesting. And does everybody agree with Taif? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, good. So I guess we could put a happy emoji in 160. But I want to explain something to you, okay? And this is why you need always to ask experts if you want to be ethical. And the reason many people are not ethical is because they don't know. They do assumptions. Yes? So I'm going to tell you an interesting story. Did you know that most companies like ADNOC, they make more money in the shops than with the gasoline? They make more profits selling Coca-Cola, coffee, food in the shops they have in the gasoline stations than by selling gasoline. Did you know that? I didn't know that. And you will not know unless you have an expert of ADNOC in your meetings, right? And that is why, yeah, very new info, right? And that is why, can you be ethical if you don't know this information? Not really. Same as with cinemas. Did you know that cinemas, they don't make profits selling tickets? They make the majority of the profit selling the popcorn. Did you know that? I didn't know that. You know that? Okay. So maybe ADNOC, so if ADNOC makes the most profit by selling food, and if people go faster in the highway, what does it mean? Does it mean they spend less time on the highway? Does it mean that maybe they don't need to stop to go to the bathroom and then they don't buy coffee latte? Or, you know what I mean? Maybe, we don't know. So in this case, it could be like equal, they don't care. So you could put equal. So in this case, I'm not sure at all, but when, yeah, I don't know what to say. So in this case, maybe it's possible, it's probable that they make the same amount of money or almost no difference. So in this case, I would put just equal there, yeah? Salam?
face
Exactly.
off.
Yeah, so in ADNOC 160, instead of a happy emoji, I would put equal.
Equal.
Equal. Is there an emoji where you're not happy or sad? It's just like, I don't care. What is it? Do we have these emojis? Anybody can type it in the chat. So we what is it? Is this emoji? I don't know. The flat emoji. Just put an equal. Yeah. Okay, just let's leave an equal. We will find. Oh, that one. Yes. Okay. I don't get emoji. I don't get emoji. Environment department. Hello. Ask the students. Salama.
Now, how the environment department will affect if we remain the speed? More pollution.
Will be more pollution, and they will be sad.
Who has spoken? Explain that with more words. Say when you talk, say your name first, and then just explain.
If the speed was 160, they will use more fuel, and then the pollution would be, I don't know how to say it, but the pollution would be more. Yeah. So they will be sad.
Excellent. Yeah. So, okay. So what do we do now then? Yes. Environment department. They will be
sad, I think, right?
Sad.
More CO2 emissions also.
Okay. Good.
What will happen if we reduce the speed?
Yeah. Yeah. If we reduce the speed, they will be happier.
Yes.
Excellent. So, Salama, next time we can use color emojis, like, for example, green, like green traffic light, green dot, orange dot if they don't care, or yellow if they don't care, and red if they are not happy. And then with the colors, it's much easier to see who's happy and not happy. But next time, okay? All right.
Okay.
So now it's time to think. Wait, to think.
So,
wait, to think. Wait, hold on. Go back to the table. So there are formulas to convert pollution into death. We know, for example, from the Volkswagen scandal that about 40,000 people in Europe lost 10 years of life. They will have cancer 10 years earlier than they should have. We know that. And that is a lot of death. And you could convert that death into money. Yes. And then you could compare things. Anyway, now, given all this information you have, at some point you have to say which approach you're using to evaluate the options. Virtues approach, and what virtues, what principles do you apply? Or utilitarian approach, or common good approach, or the other one, fairness approach, right? So Salama, guide us. So at some point you have to say, I'm going to use this approach, and from this approach, we have that A is better than B, or B is better than A, or what?
I write here utilitarian approach, but I don't know. It's good for our case.
So you decided to use the utilitarian approach. Why?
Because it will less harm for us, maybe.
So what does the utilitarian approach tell us? What is the
choice that produce less harm?
Yes.
I think
so.
Like that.
The utilitarian approach says that the most ethical choice is the one that provides most happiness to the world, to the universe. not to you, to the universe, to the most amount of people, to the universe, right? So if there's an option that in general produces more happiness than another option, that option, the first one, is the ethical one. So it's ethical to maximize happiness. But happiness is very hard to measure. And they say money doesn't buy happiness, but it helps a lot, right? So it's a very good way to compare happinesses from different options to convert things or situations to money. So obviously 10 deaths is better than 30 deaths, yes? But if you convert it to money, you can compare it to other things. And this is very hard to do. Like, how do you put more value on death? But all the countries in the world, they have a table where they put value on people's life. And they do that by thinking how much tax they will pay in their life, or that they just put a number they think it's okay, which is insurance money or some number. And with this number, they decide, for example, if in a road, a lot of people die every year, should they spend a lot of money fixing that road? Should they build a railway so people don't die driving, or what? Yes, and this helps them to maximize the budget they have in things that are useful and don't waste it in things that are not useful. Does that make sense to you? Because would it be ethical if the government spends all the money fixing one road that nobody uses? No, instead of fixing the road that everybody uses, that doesn't improve the happiness, right? Or has no utility. And that is why this approach is called utilitarian. So every time you're dealing with utility of infrastructure, the utilitarian approach is a very appropriate approach, because when you have infrastructure, you have it to help the citizens, to help the country. And a very good way to compare different infrastructure is to measure the utility, happiness, money. That's why this approach is called utilitarian, right? And you don't distinguish which citizens get more benefit or not. You just look at all the citizens of all the country, all the tourists, everybody, and say, okay, which one is better, right? Good. So in this case, I would say utilitarian is really appropriate. So we have to convert everything into money to compare, or you could convert everything into deaths or time lost, right? Like you could convert the death into the lifespan in years. You could compare the wasted time, convert the wasted time into years lost. So you should compare things in the same units. In this case, Salama chose money, which is also very good. And it's a very good option. And so Salama, what is the balance here?
What is what?
The balance of money. So if we look at the money, which option is better? So maybe after environment department, we make a total, a new row that says total, where we add the numbers. Very good. So just put total. Right. So option A, we have. So we have what?
13.3.
13.3 million. Okay. IED. This 13 point, and option B is what? Okay.
Right.
That's amazing.
Because
so Salama, now you have to ask the audience. Which option is better?
Which option is better from your point of view?
Type A or type B? Okay, does somebody say option A? No, because here we're measuring deaths and time lost, right? So we're measuring the opposite of happiness. So anti-happiness or what, anti-utility, right? Okay, so clearly, Salama, what do you think? Tell us.
I think maybe option B would be better because it's list I mean.
Why do you say maybe?
I don't know.
Well, we just did an analysis. The numbers are very clear. How come you say still maybe? There's no maybe here. It's absolutely clear. Absolutely clear.
Choosing option B.
Absolutely clear. That option B is much better. Way better. So there's no maybe here. That's why we use this approach. So we can see objectively what is better, what is more ethical, right?
Yes.
And by a few million dirhams. Sounds good? So you can say, yeah, okay, good. So I think we missed something here. We missed the cost of changing the signs. I don't see it.
Yes,
Are we missing something?
It.
We forgot the cost of changing the signs. So who's responsible? No, who's responsible for the changing the signs?
RTA.
RTA. So just put it in the RTA. So RTA will lose money. So all these quantities we put in here are minus, right? Signs. Okay. So Zainab, Salama, all these quantities in reality are negative numbers. Yes?
Yes.
So in accounting, you would put them in red color and in parentheses. Okay. Or we could put a negative number in each one of them. So we don't forget a negative number. Yeah, but just leave it now for the next exercise, right?
Okay.
And then you would see both quantities. I'm going to put my video because I'm moving my hands. Oh. Both quantities are negative, and one quantity is more negative than the other. So one quantity is worse than the other, right? And option B is less worse, right?
Yes.
So that's it. So just remove the minus sign from 2m. So you could put a note here. All quantities are like loss. Or the table could be negative happiness or something like that. So people don't get confused. Excellent. There's another problem I think we forgot, or anybody can point some flaws in this. Did we miss something? What about speed fines?
What about what?
The speed limit tickets when you go faster than, yeah, fuel cost. Did we forget about fuel cost? We forgot about fuel cost. Okay, so fuel cost, what?
It's there if you want it.
Okay, so let's put the fuel cost. What's the fuel consumption? What's the fuel? How did you calculate the fuel? Taif, can you explain to us the fuel consumption?
You will multiply the total distance, 160 kilometers, by 10 liters by 100 kilometers per car. This is the amount one car consumes. And then multiply it by 2 per liter. This is the cost of the fuel. And then we have 2 million passengers per year. So we multiply it by all of them. Each car, we have 2 passengers.
That's amazing. And then we have 2 million passengers that you already have. How much is that, Taif?
32 million AED.
Okay, good. And who pays for that?
The passengers.
The passengers. So it's, we put it, it's minus money for the passengers. So Salam, I don't know if you see the chat. I think you don't see it. Doesn't matter. I just put minus 32 million in passengers. Yeah, another passengers. Because it is cost for the passengers, right? And because, so let's fix all the numbers now. So let's put minus, so put this money above the,
Minus.
put minus here and then minus here, very good. And then type above def, type the fuel cost. Above def, at the top. Go to, oh, here, okay. Fuel, just put fuel. No, sorry. Fuel, just put fuel.
Okay, understand. Fuel.
Fuel, okay. Minus the fuel. And then what do we have?
And
Option
here
B.
we have, we'll have 21.33.
Right, because 50% less, right? Very good. Excellent, million. Okay, very interesting. And these numbers are negative, and just fix the other negative numbers. Yeah, and yeah. Can we update the numbers now? Yes, very good. Can we update the numbers? So minus 12 minus 1.3 minus 32, that is how much? 44, 45.3. No?
45, yeah.
And the other one is 27. Minus 27. Wonderful. Are we missing something else? So here you could say, wait, what about the ADNOC? So ADNOC sells 32 million in fuel. So should we add 32 million to ADNOC as well? And you would say yes, and this would be positive cash flow for ADNOC. And then in option B for ADNOC, it will sell only 21. And then what you could either, but this is not profit for ADNOC, it's just revenue. Yes. So you could say, interesting. And you could say, you could do quite a lot of analysis, but this is, you're comparing cost and revenue, but cost is not the same as, revenue is not the same as profit. And so you can sophisticate this analysis quite a lot and say, well, ADNOC is gonna make less money, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
So how do we compare now? This is very complex. This is becoming very complex. So the thing you have to do here is, when you are in option A, you look at what happens to everybody, and you look at option B, what happens to everybody, and then you make a column on the right side, which is called the difference column, A minus B or B minus A, where you compare the difference. So you could add a column here, very good.
Okay.
Yes, and make column B shorter and column stakeholders shorter. Yeah.
Okay.
And then column A shorter, so you have space. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Very good. And column B a bit shorter. Yes. Very good. Now, shall we put this lost revenue for ADNOC? How do we consider this? Shall we say that ADNOC option A plus 32, ADNOC option B plus 21.3? Yes or no? What do you think, guys?
For ADNOC, we write them.
No, go to column A.
Okay.
Go to ADNOC, where the emoji is.
Yes.
Shall we put here, as well as the emoji, column, ADNOC in this situation sells 32 million of fuel, right?
Yes. So right here, 32 million fuel.
You could write it, yes.
Okay.
Just type it. Just type it. No, don't delete it. Don't delete it from here.
Here.
So minus. So the passengers have to pay 32 million in fuel cost. ADNOC doesn't get fuel cost. It's just sales. Yeah. Fuel sales. And then here ADNOC sells plus 21.33 million. Fuel sales. Right. And then, hold on a second. Fuel, F-U-E-L is the word. Yeah. Right, do you see these girls? So on one side you have passengers paying, and on the other half you have ADNOC receiving. So the thing is, can you compare these two numbers? Like, can you compare somebody paying something to the revenue of a company? Are these the same? Does this dirham compare the same way? Yes, it could get cancelled. Yes. So are these dirhams making ADNOC? Oh, thank you. My coffee just arrived. I hope you have a good coffee. Are these dirhams, the happiness that this dirham create when a poor family has to spend 200 dirhams in gasoline or spends less? Is this the same happiness as ADNOC? These dirhams, do they create the same happiness or unhappiness? So this is a very complex issue, right? So from utilitarian approach, we say we don't care who is happy. Okay? We don't say your happiness is more important than the other people's happiness. You receiving or saving 200 dirhams is as important as an organization with no face in the same situation. Everybody's happiness is the same. Okay, that is one of the drawbacks of the utilitarian approach. Okay, so in A, 32 million got transferred from passengers to ADNOC. So we could say ADNOC is happier. In B, less money gets transferred, so ADNOC is less happy and the passengers are less sad. Does it make sense? And yes, these two cancel. Yes. Does that make sense to you guys? Good. So we could fix that. What else do we have? Salama.
Yes.
What else do we have?
For comparing, you mean?
Yeah. So we have RTA. I want to talk about RTA. What happens when you lower the speed limit, do you have more income from ticket fines, or you have less income?
No, they will lose their incomes.
So what happens when if the speed limit is infinite? Will RTA get money from speed tickets?
Or maybe the opposite, because the speed is reduced. The people maybe not all of them will know or something, or or
what happens? Yeah. What happens if the speed limit in the highway is only 100 kilometers per hour? What do you think will happen?
I think the people will drive more, so they will have more tickets.
Yes, that is exactly correct, right? So RTA maybe will is less happy with 160 also because they have less income from fines, but we don't know how much. And you will not know until you have an expert from RTA explaining to you. Hospital, the same. How much money does it take to all the accidents that more higher speed creates? How much money it costs to the country, right? To the hospitals. This also, we don't know. We just know it's more money, but how much money, right? So we have no idea. Okay? So many things that we don't know, and until we don't have an expert, we cannot understand well. Yeah?
Yes.
Great. So now let's calculate the difference. So you could calculate the difference between passengers, for example, between A and B. And you could say, okay, in option A, passengers are -12 and -1.3. But in option B, they are only, so you could say minus parentheses. Yeah, okay, good. And in option B, they are -4 and -1.7, right?
Yes.
-4 and -1.7. So the difference between these two is -13 points. Yeah, very good. Very good. Can somebody give us the answer? Taif or Khadija? No, so this is going to be 13 point
-7.6, I think.
-7.6. Okay. So this is the difference between A minus B. So you can put on top of the column A minus B.
You will also have -1.3, -1.7.
Yeah, so maybe we want to do B minus A, no? Because we want to see the change from when we change from A to B. So when you wanna, so B is the destination and A is the origin situation. So you do like vector in mathematics. So you start where you stop, where you finish B, and where you started A, and then it becomes plus. Very good, Salama, very excellent. So it plus -7.6.
Yes.
So the plus. No, yeah, that's it. Just change the plus, the sign number. So this is the same number, but change the sign. Plus 7.6 is the solution.
Okay.
Equal.
Yes.
No. It's equal.
Oh, okay, the solution, I mean, okay. Okay.
Plus 7.6. Salama. 7.6. 7.6 plus. Right. So this is how much better the passengers are with B. And we forgot about the fuel cost. So we have to add the fuel cost. So for the passengers, Salama,
for passengers.
Yes, so 21.3. So no, you can add it on the top with the parentheses. Oh, okay, you can add it as a subtract. Yeah. So, okay, sure. That's good. Salama.
Okay.
Very good. So can somebody tell us the difference?
Yes.
So this minus 32 is minus 32, yeah, because it's b minus a. Excellent. So this becomes
10.6.
Good. Plus 10.6 savings for 10.6 millions of happiness, million dirhams of happiness. Better off in option B if we change it. Yeah. No. That's just for to understand. Good. RTA. Are they gonna be happier? What's the difference? B minus A. No, they're not gonna be happy. Minus 2 million, right? B minus A is still B.
So 2 million, right?
Minus 2 million.
-2
So they're gonna be less happy. Hospital. They're gonna be happier because they're gonna save money, right? So put a plus emoji, like happy emoji. But we don't know how much because we don't have an expert. ADNOC, minus 10.6 million, less happy. Environment department, happy, yeah, much happier. But so we don't know how many people will not die because we don't have an expert here. And that's why you have to recruit experts. And the total, so the total difference here is 7.6, right? B minus A plus 7.6. No, 5.6 is the difference.
Yeah, because you have to.
5.6. Okay. And the numbers on the left are wrong because we didn't cancel it with the.
Cancel the total here, you mean?
Yeah, because we have to cancel it. Just a little, yeah. Okay, good.
Okay.
Sounds good. So option B from a utilitarian approach is 5 million happier. Not such a big difference if you compare to fuel, right? So now imagine from a political point of view, ADNOC has a lot to lose in this situation, right? ADNOC as an organization has a lot to lose, a lot of money. They will lose a lot of money. And passengers are the most benefited from this solution, right?
Yes.
So this solution will benefit passengers and will be good for passengers, hospitals, and environment, and it will be bad for these two organizations. Yes. So now you know who will oppose this decision and who will like this decision, right? So that's also very interesting when you want to implement. Okay, Salama. So now with this information, what do we do? Which approach do we use?
The utilitarian will not be good for our case, right?
I don't know. I'm not the expert. There's no right or wrong here. It's just the right is to apply the process properly. That's it. So you could say, from a utilitarian point of view, option B creates 5.6 million of happiness, right?
Yes.
Therefore, it is the most ethical choice. And you have shown the analysis, and you can justify it. And you can say, yes, it's worth to spend the money. Yes. And you will recover this money every year. Yes. Because this is every year. But you have to think when you do these solutions and you change things for 10 years, 20 years, how much is the money for 100 years? So it's going to be 500 million, right?
Yes.
It is not nothing. Sounds good. Yes. And then when you go to implement, you know who will be benefited from this decision and who will be perjudicated. Yes. So maybe to make it happen, you need to convince the people that will be perjudicated. But maybe you can go to ADNOC and say, okay, you will lose a lot of money, but if you don't oppose this B option, we will lower the tax for you, so you're happier. Yes. So that's the job of a good negotiation. If you don't do that, and you want a solution to happen, and somebody else will lose a lot of money because this solution, do you think they will be happy or they will let it happen?
No.
No. And then your plan will not happen, right?
Yes.
So it's very important to talk, to communicate with the stakeholders, to see if they will oppose or not, to see how you can sweeten the deal, or, you know, maybe they need help somewhere else and say, okay, I will help you here if you help me here. So being ethical also is about making things happen. And it's a complete course. It's called negotiation course, but we don't teach here, but it's a fascinating topic. You can read books about it. Excellent. Now let's consider other approaches. You could consider different approaches. You could consider, for example, the fairness approach. And you could look at fairness. And what is fairness approach about? So before we finish with the utilitarian, you could type Salama.
Yes.
From utilitarian point of view, option B is 5.6 million better than A. Therefore, option B is the most ethical. That's it. And nobody can say you were an ethical approach. Option B is 5.6 million better. Therefore, it is the most ethical. It's more ethical than A. And we recommend it. Okay. And you could explain the possible weak points of the utilitarian approach, like you are comparing cost for citizens with a cost to organization that supposed to serve the citizens, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, B is the most ethical. And this is what I want you to write in the exam if you want to name. And do you realize here that if you didn't know all these things about RTA, ADNOC, they sell less more, you will not be able to arrive to correct numbers, and then maybe you will be unethical, and this is the problem. Okay, good. Now make a new line and say, from fairness approach.
Okay.
So from fairness approach, ... what do you think? Ask the students.
What do you think for fairness approach? Which option would be the best?
So what is the fairness approach about? In the fairness approach, the most ethical option is the one that
the most fair
option to everybody. So for example, if you have children, you cannot treat the children as you would treat an adult. If a children does something wrong, do you put the children in the jail? No, you don't. If an adult does something wrong, do you put him in jail? Yes, sometimes, yes. But you don't treat them the same. And actually the law doesn't treat them the same, right? In the same way, in this case, for example, you can see how passengers are really benefited from option B. Yes?
Yes.
And ADNOC is not benefited, right? But you could say,
this is if people will be much than ADNOC.
You can say, well, shouldn't people be more important than organizations which are supposed to serve people, right? And you could say, yes. So from fairness approach, you could say that as well, it's very fair to go for option B, even though ADNOC would lose some money. But ADNOC is not a person, right? So B, because you could say ADNOC does not need more money. It's not very useful that ADNOC has 10 extra million, but it's very useful if passengers say 17 million, because
what?
Because ADNOC already have a lot of money. So they have so much money that 10 million more, 10 million less doesn't mean anything. But putting some families saving a bit of money in the fuel, it means a lot for them, right? So you could say it's quite fair because you benefit the citizens. It benefits the citizens rather than the organizations. So the fairness approach has this problem that it's very subjective, because you decide who is weak and who is strong. And this is very subjective. Maybe ADNOC really needs these 10 million dirhams. We don't know. We're not experts, right? So fairness approach has this weak point that is very subjective. And that's where they criticize this approach. What about virtuous approach? What would you say here? So virtuous approach is about what? That you have your list of values. Yes, Taif, can you speak? Yeah, speak, take the mic. So Taif, can you speak? So fairness, Taif says that treating everybody the same. No, Taif, this is not what fairness approach is about.
Yeah. The virtual is like the best choice that reflects the moral values in yourself and your community.
Yes. So what are the moral values, for example, that you want? And here, think about what's happening. Deaths and environment and saving money on fuel. And how do those relate to your values, and which values that you have could apply? So to solve this, first you have to say, what are your values? Not virtual approach, virtues. So, or values approaches, like values approach, Salama.
Values?
Values approach. So first you have to say, my values are these, that human life or the environment is the most precious thing. Human life and the environment is the most precious thing. And you know, we only save 5.6 million, but even if we didn't save 5.6 million, we still should do it because it's good for the environment and it's good for people because they die less. If this is your values, fantastic. If your values are different, like if my values are, no, not wasting time is the most important thing. Being fast is the most important thing. If this is your values, then you would say A, right? So first, you have to decide what are your values and how do you know what are your values? For example, if you're French, your values are very easy because the French say fraternity, no, liberty, equality, and fraternity, right? So these are three values, very easy to remember and understand. If you are from a different country or if you are from a different group, your values are, so the problem in this approach is that you have to say what are your values first, okay? Mm-hmm. If you are from Scandinavia, well, their values are much more environment. The environment is much higher in the values list, right? So in Scandinavia, for example, you cannot pollute a lot, and there are lots of restrictions. If you're in China, you can pollute, you can do things that are not allowed in Europe, right? For example, in this country, you can drive cars that pollute a lot, that are illegal to drive in Europe because they pollute a lot, right? So each country has different values or laws and different sensitivities. So you can say XYZ. Yes, sounds good.
Yes.
And then you have the last approach, which is the common good approach. And the common good approach, what is it about? So this one depends on your values. So you would explain your values here. So make a new line, Salama.
Okay.
And the common good approach, CGA, common good approach, from CGA, yeah, common good approach. So in common good approach, what is the what is the solution, or what is the option alternative that is the most ethical in general? So the one that is best for society.
Option B.
Exactly, society. So think about society and think about the numbers here. And what do you think is better for society? To have less death and waste less fuel, but waste a bit more time on the highway, or the other, to have more death, waste more fuel, but waste less time?
The first one.
It
will cause less.
I don't know, right? So here you have to think what is best for society. So you could compare different societies, for example, different countries. Like some parts in Germany, they don't have a speed limit, right? So do you want to be like them? Or what? Or some parts in Europe, they have speed limits. So you have to think about this. Like, okay, what is better for society? To waste a bit of time, and you have the number here, like how much time is wasted, right?
Yes.
It's not that big difference.
So
going faster only saves you from 1.3 to 1.7. So just 500,000 dirham. It's not a big deal, isn't it? So in this case, you could say, yeah, I think it's much better for society to go a bit slower, less deaths, and less fuel. And okay, you waste 500,000 of life because you spend more time in the car. But you have to explain why. You can say it's better for society to have less accidents in the highway, and that people spend a bit more time in the highway. It's much better. You could say that. Or no, you could say the opposite if you think that's not good for society. Does that make sense? Yes. But now, because you did this analysis, you can do a decision. And if somebody says, why did you do that? Because of this. That's why it's more ethical. And you can show something, and you can show that you did the process. Yeah? Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Salama. I think she deserves a big credit. You did an awesome job. Well done. And this was a complex case, but it's the first case, and all the other cases we'll see are much easier than this one. This is the difficult one. And I hope you see now, like, to be ethical, you need knowledge. And without knowledge, it's very easy to be not ethical. And that's why you are here in this course. All right. So have a good day, everybody. And you still have time to fix your assignments. So don't be shy. The assignments are to learn. Yes? Questions? I think we also have decided when is the midterm. So, okay, I will stop the class here. Yes? Questions? Just ask me in the chat. Don't worry, NSQ, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It has no impact in your grade. Yes, don't worry, Maria Mablusi. Don't worry about it. The system is not perfect. It doesn't impact your grade. Yes, because you were not here when I passed the attendance. Don't worry. Nobody, it doesn't impact your grade at all. You were here. It's okay, Mariam, listen to me. Don't worry. It's just attendance. It's not perfect. When I did the attendance, you didn't reply. Doesn't matter. Any other questions? Okay, good. So if you have questions about the approach, the calculations, just ask in general, and maybe the other students can answer. Awesome, Alia. Good. You have a day too. Don't worry, NSQ. You will not fail this course because of the attendance. Nobody fails this course ever because of the attendance, and unless they don't never come, like more than 50%. Okay, so you will not. Don't stress about it. Okay, good. All right, good, awesome. All right, good job, Salama. Everybody give a clap to Salama. She did a very good job. And Taif and Khadija, thank you for participating. And I think this was a very good analysis. You can go to the RTA now and say, hey. And also, there is a small thing we didn't consider, is that just because you put the speed limit at 160, not everybody goes at 160. That's another thing to consider. Maybe only 5–10%. And that's another reason that you need to talk to experts. Right, so we did this analysis thinking that everybody will go 160, but this is not true. That's another stuff. Okay. All right, everybody. See you soon. Just update your solutions, and the next day we will see the coronavirus, and then we will see another case. So you practice this. Yeah, cool. Have a great weekend. Ciao, ciao. How do I stop the recording now? So complex. I need help. Yeah, you can leave. Yeah, you can go and leave. Yeah. Salama, as I told you, I told you earlier, NHK. Don't worry. It will not affect your grade. You will not fail this course. Okay. Before it reaches 17, you talk to me. Okay. I just try.